Hello, everyone, and welcome to my B2 High Intermediate English course. In this module, you will learn about auxiliary verbs and their different uses. At the end, you will get to practice what you just learned with a few sample exercises. Let's get started. All right, so we'll look at a chart here. So and neither, for example. So we have where it says equals I am tired too. So it starts with one person, person A, that says I am tired. Person B agrees and they say so am I. And then there's another example. I like studying. So do I. And then Ed loves music. So does Mary. Um, I was at the office. So was I. And so on. Um, so we've got so plus an auxiliary verb plus the subject here. Um, and then for negative, we can say, I am not tired. Well, neither am I. So it equals I am not tired either. I don't like studying. Well, neither do I. Um, I wasn't ready. Neither was I. Okay, so here another example. You're still agreeing, um, saying how you agree with the other person here. So you have neither plus an auxiliary verb plus a subject here. All right, so we'll see some more examples here. Okay, auxiliary verbs so and neither. So we use auxiliary verbs with so and neither to show agreement with something that has been said without having to repeat the same verb. We use so plus an auxiliary verb plus subject to agree with affirmative sentences. For example, person A says, I love listening to jazz. Person B, so do I. So B agrees with A. And there's I'll try it a different way. And person B, so will I. And then this other one, Tom has already finished his homework. And person B, so has Gina. Then we use neither or nor plus an auxiliary verb plus a subject to agree with negative sentences. So we have person A, I'm not going to accept the invitation. Person B, neither am I. So neither one will accept the invitation here. Okay, okay, neither and nor continued. So we have this example. I can't concentrate with all this noise. Um, and then the other person, nor can I. And there's, I didn't like the food. Neither did I. So either way, that both people are agreeing on what was said. And then we've got I couldn't find the solution, and neither could my wife. So the same speaker speaking about himself and his wife also, that they both had the same experience. Okay, if there is an auxiliary verb in the previous sentence, we use the same verb to agree. If there isn't one in the previous sentence, we use do or did. Okay, let's talk about to disagree. We use yes, no, plus a subject plus auxiliary verb to show disagreement. If the verb in the previous sentence or clause is positive, we use a negative auxiliary and vice versa. So for example, person A, I'm not going to accept the invitation. And person B says, I am. So it's two different uh, uh, expressions here. One is negative and the other is positive here, expressing the opposite. Okay, here we go. So to continue disagreeing, we've got I didn't like the food. I did. So again, we have two opposite feelings. Okay, and there's I couldn't solve the problem, but my wife could. And then you will be here before midnight. No, I won't. So you can see definitely person B disagrees with person A. And then we have to avoid repetition. We use auxiliary verbs to avoid repeating the same verb or verb phrase in a sentence. If the first part contains an auxiliary verb, we use the same verb in the second part. So, for example, I don't like going to spas, but my wife does. So, same verb here. Here's negative, don't, and then does here for the second part. And then we have I thought I had lost my keys, but I hadn't. So, had and hadn't. Then we have Tom can play the guitar, but Tina can't. So can and can't. And then she has never had to face such difficulties, but I have. So we've got never had and have here. All right. So if the first part doesn't contain an auxiliary verb, we use do or did in the second part. For example, she shares your opinion, but I don't. So there's no auxiliary verb here. So we have the verb do, but this is negative. All right, and then some wanted to go on with the plan, but others didn't. Okay, so no, nothing here. So we have, again, do, but negative. Okay, let's talk about in reply questions. We use reply questions to show interest or surprise. In the reply question, we use the same auxiliary verb as in the previous sentence. If there is no auxiliary verb in the previous sentence, of course, we use do or did. Now, if the verb in the previous sentence is positive, the reply question is positive, right? And if the verb in the previous sentence is negative, then the reply question is also negative. So you will see here on the next slide. Okay, so for example, person A, Sarah hasn't passed the exam. Okay, person B, hasn't she? I thought she would pass it. So this one is negative here, and the reply here is also the same, hasn't she? Okay, and then this one here, I won't be able to be there. And so got won't here, and then person B, won't you? Okay, so same verb here, negative. That's a shame. All right, and then this one, I can find the answer without using a calculator. Can you? That's amazing. And then this one, she left without saying goodbye. Did she? That's very rude. So yes, this is positive, and we're using did here, not didn't. So all right, and the next thing here is to show emphasis. So when we want to add emphasis to a verb, we often stress the auxiliary verb, if there is one, when we speak. So, for example, um, person A, why aren't you going to the party? Um, and person B, I am going to the party. So here we are stressing am, so the auxiliary verb. Because the verb be is also considered one. Okay, all right. We normally show this emphasis when we want to contradict what someone says. So, for example, Sally doesn't speak Spanish. She does speak Spanish. She lived in Spain for 2 years. And then this other one, you didn't say sorry. I did say sorry, but he didn't hear me. So you can hear how it's used for emphasis here. All right. And then you don't want to save our marriage, but I do want to save our marriage, but you won't let me try. All right. So this is using do for emphasis. Okay, and then let's talk about in question tags. For example, aren't you or was I? Okay, so we can use a question tag at the end of a sentence to ask for confirmation or to check information that we think is true. If the verb in the sentence is positive, we use a negative auxiliary verb in the question tag. And if the verb in the sentence is negative, we would use a positive auxiliary verb in this question tag. Okay, so for example, he is from Liverpool, isn't he? Or you have done this before, haven't you? So you see how it changes is and isn't, and then have done, haven't you? Okay, and in the question tag, we use the same subject that appears in the sentence, but always in the form of a personal pronoun. I, you, he, she, it, so on. We also use the same auxiliary verb as the main verb in the sentence. And of course, if there is no auxiliary verb in the sentence, we would use do or did in the question tag. So, for example, Lisa went by train, didn't she? Okay. Um, so she refers to Lisa. And then the shops are closed today, aren't they? So, and then we have you don't have a car, do you? And then the project was completed yesterday, wasn't it? So it's checking to verify um, these things when we ask. Okay. All right. Well, there are some cases when the question tag takes a special form. So, for example, if we say, I am an honest person, aren't I? So, or you can say, I am, aren't I? So, short form. All right. And then I am not a boring speaker. Am I? So, or else you can say, I'm not, am I? So you can see that uh, we're saying we're not something, right? In the first person, we use am rather than are. Okay, and then we have open the window, will you? So this is an example of a request, will you here? And then let's go to the park, shall we? And this is for suggestions, and shall we is the suggestive part. And then you would be sorry if I moved out, wouldn't you? So it should be I there. Um, Asking for confirmation here when we say wouldn't you. Okay, so now here are some examples for the other verb tenses. Um, Past continuous, you were joking, weren't you? So negative question tag. Present perfect, you've just called, haven't you? Past perfect, he had arrived, hadn't he? Will you'll be fine here, won't you? And even using a modal verb, she can speak English, can't she? Um, anyways, and then we have when you start with negative here with the positive tag. You weren't joking, were you? You you haven't finished, have you? Or they hadn't arrived, had they? We won't finish, will we? And then you shouldn't yell, should you? Well, all right, we're going to go on to a few sample exercises and test our knowledge here. So, okay, so for exercise 1, we'll take a look here. So we're going to choose from these drop-down boxes here the right form. So I've never seen anything like this before. And then person B, neither. Okay, are, do, or have. Okay, so if you chose have, that would be correct. So that corresponds to present perfect here. All right, number 2. I had very good marks on this term, or marks this term. Did you? You did, or had you? That's great. Okay, what matches with what person A said? Which part of the tag? Okay, so you can see, so we're not using present perfect here. So, all right. So if you chose the first option, did you, that would be what we choose, the auxiliary verb here, because there's none in here. All right, number 3. Let's go to the movies. Don't we? Won't we? Or shall we? Okay, and after the cinema, we could go for a drink somewhere. Okay, so if you chose the last one, shall we? That would be correct. It's this is a suggestion. Okay, number 4. She doesn't eat meat. I think she's a vegetarian. All right. And then we have she sure eats, do eats, or does eat meat, but not very often. All right, so if you chose the last one, does eat, that would be correct. Um, so we're using do for emphasis. All right, one more here. She wants to buy a new house, but he, so we have but, so you're going to see that there's disagreement. Does, doesn't, or isn't. So if you chose the middle one, doesn't, that would be correct. All right, let's look at exercise 2 real quick. So this one is multiple choice. So we have, I love cheese, but my husband, what? He hates it. Okay, isn't, don't, doesn't like, or doesn't. Okay. All right, so if you chose option D, doesn't, that would be correct because we're using, remember we're using do here, do or did, because there's no auxiliary here in this part. All right. And then number 2, is it okay if we stay tonight? Yes. So we got it is, it's, you can, or you do. Okay. So if you chose the first option, it is, that would be correct. So, because we're asking, is it okay? All right, number 3. I won't say anything. Neither. So, won't I? Will I? Do I? Or won't me? All right. So, both agreeing here. So, if you chose option B, will I? That would be correct. Okay, one more here. He's very tired. Okay, so she is, so is her, so is she, so she does. Okay, so this is also talking about agreement. So, so if you chose option C, so is she, that would be correct here. Okay, exercise 3. Okay, so we'll try a few here. Completing it with the correct auxiliary in the correct form here. Okay, so so Robert, you have just arrived at our university. So what goes here before you? Okay, the question tag. Okay, haven't. Haven't you? Okay, yes, today is my first day. And John, and where are you from? Okay, Robert says, I live in Leeds, but I was born in Poland. John, okay, this is about surprise. Okay, were, were you? That's what we would start with. That's funny. So, what goes here? Which one? Okay, be verb. So, whoops, here we go. Was. So was my girlfriend. Okay. Then Robert still asked, um, was she, right? Except this begins a sentence, so it should be capital. All right. Where in Poland was she born? She's from a city called Lublin. All right. Well, that's it for now. Great job in doing these exercises. Shows that you paid close attention. Well, I can help you learn to speak English with more confidence for sure. I'm TESOL certified. I teach native U.S. English. I'm experienced in online tutoring, and I work with all learning levels and most age groups. So whether you need help with grammar, speaking, vocabulary, or writing, or any other area, you've come to the right place. Well, thank you for watching my video and happy learning.